Sometimes a picture can say 1,000 words, and that's certainly true of what we're about to show you.
Well, this is 75-year-old Marion Searle, and it's hard to believe, but these two pictures were taken just 6 months apart.
Marion lives in a care home and has Alzheimer's. Her daughter Karen says the visible deterioration and weight loss suffered by her mother is a result of the mental and emotional health impact of lockdown.
Well, Karen joins us now, as does Steve Miller, who we've talked to many times before and whose own mother is living with dementia in a care home. And good morning to both of you. Thank you for being here. So, Karen, let's start with you first of all, because this story really begins in November 2018, and this was when your mother got her diagnosis. And to begin with, as a family, between you guys and you had carers in, you were kind of trying to adapt to this new way of life and coping quite well. But even at that early stage, having you there as a family was really important to her.
Yeah, she was very family orientated. She wanted family around her all the time, and we got her covered most of the time. She had carers coming in virtually every day. She either had clubs or she would see a member of family. So that was okay. But then she started to deteriorate, and she had to go into a care home for respite. Temporarily, we thought at the time, but then lockdown happened.
Well, she didn't want to go into a care home, and she was upset about that. And yeah. as you said, there was one particular instance when she was found very distressed on her doorstep, and so you knew that that was going to be the best way for her to make sure that she was safe. And so I suppose the moment here was perfectly bad timing, that she goes into a respite care home, you think temporarily, and then suddenly lockdown hits.
Yeah.
And so she's then stuck in there.
Yes, because initially she was in respite so she could go into extra care accommodation, which is a flat with carers on 24/7, and they'd have entertainment there. She'd be safe, but she'd still have independence, but she wouldn't be alone. She could still go out, she could still do visits, she could still do everything she could do, but she'd be safe and cared for. That's what we were waiting for, and lockdown happened, and that couldn't happen no more.
And so there she is, she's in the care home, lockdown has happened. How quickly did things begin to deteriorate for her?
Quite quick, I think. She didn't understand why she could no longer go out and do her clubs. She got angry. She got very angry. She didn't understand. She'd take her anger out on me. I think it was all my fault. She started getting a bit aggressive because she felt like a caged animal. She wasn't used to being... It was a lovely care home. Her first care home was a lovely little home. It was small. It didn't have much outside space. She felt like a caged animal, and she used to hit out. And it was awful to see. I could just do window visits and I could see the deterioration a little bit. And then because of the way she was behaving, I could understand the care home couldn't have her anymore because she could have been a risk to the other residents. So they had to move her to another care home that could cope with her behaviour a bit better. I understand why they had to do that, but it was a horrible time because it was in lockdown. And, it's not good to move them, but she had to be moved.
Well, it's just so sad for her, because it must have been...
Scary.
Must continue to be so hideously confusing to have to go through something like that when you don't understand. And
Yeah.
I think you had a garden visit in July, and of course she saw you then and wanted to give you a hug.
Yes. Initially, it was just window visits in the new care home. And then when things were... things got easier. I think it was July, I can't remember exactly. We had our first garden visit, myself and my brother, in mass at 2 metre distance. She didn't understand. She wanted to give me a hug. She wanted to leave with us. It was heartbreaking. There was one visit we had, and she was crying, and I couldn't hug her. All I could do was stretch out and hand her a tissue. She didn't know what to do with the tissue. She was playing with it. We were saying, "Mum, it's to wipe your eyes," but she didn't understand. and I couldn't hug her, and it was heartbreaking. And when I left that visit, I got outside and I cried my eyes out.
I mean, it's tough on all of you as a family. It's tough on her, but also for you living through it and the guilt, I imagine, that comes with it. And it's no one's fault. This is just a situation you find yourself in. And it's really important to stress here as well that at no point, this is no blame being pointed at the care home, because everybody at this moment is trying to do their best in this situation.
Absolutely. I've got no blame on either the care homes that she's been in. As far as I'm aware, they were looking after her well. And, you know, I'm not blaming the care homes. I don't want anybody to think I'm blaming the care homes. They had to go by guidelines. They had to do what the government told them to do. And they did that. So I'm not blaming the care homes. I am blaming the government. You know, it's what
are you blaming the government for? What could have been done differently to help your family?
The government's policies and guidelines, I think, and Matt Hancock, you know, he could be doing a lot more. I think, why can't one family member go in and get checked, have PPE, and give what our relatives need? They need physical contact from their family. They need to know that they've not been forgotten. It's heartbreaking. They don't understand. They don't understand why the family's not coming in. They don't understand why they can't have a hug. If care, and this isn't knocking carers. I'm not doing that. If carers are allowed to go in and have contact with our loved ones, you know, when they're not working, they're out mixing with other people. We're no different. We're not going to be any more danger. So why can't one family member, at least to start off with, do the same?
Steve, this is a hideous balance here for anybody, because you're in a similar situation with your mum. Can't hug her. You don't know when you'll next be able to get that close. You've got the issue that if one person takes the virus into a care home, then that could have catastrophic circumstances and repercussions. But at the same time, mental health is so important, as we found out on a daily basis now. We find out how it's affected people's mental health, being locked down and being separated from their loved ones.
Absolutely. And what we do know is that there is a condition, as I cribbed my notes, called cardiomyopathy. Dr. Daniel Nightingale, who's a leading clinician in dementia, was explaining this to me, that, you know, our loved ones in care homes at the moment, and again, this is not about blaming carers or the care homes, you know, they feel lonely, they feel isolated, agitated, anxious. But what I can't understand as well is that all care homes seem to be doing things differently. Now, also, I think some logical common sense has gone out the door as well, because when we go, not me personally, but when people go and see people, their loved ones in care homes, there's usually one of those glass panels between the person living with dementia and their loved one. That's a prison visit. Someone living with dementia, you know, is confused. They're reaching out. They're wondering what on earth is going on.
But on the other hand, they have to be protected.
Of course they... Listen, hang on a minute. Of course you're right, they have to be protected. And you protect people living with dementia by protecting their welfare and their mental health. And the Alzheimer's Society did a study on this. They found that they interviewed or surveyed 128 care homes, and they found that nearly 80% were reporting a deterioration in the mental health of people living with dementia because of a lack of social contact. Now, what I want, I want to start calling it, I don't know, Hancock's, hold a hand for Hancock, something like that, so we can start holding the hand of our loved one, because this is cruel. I mean, I sit here today, and the reality is that I may never, ever be able to hold my mum's hand ever again. That's not the care home's fault, but there's something that can be done. As Karen was saying, PPE, temperature checks, get some testing done. You know, Boris was bragging, I think, the other day, saying 10 million tests are on the way a day or something like that. There is a solution here.
We know that testing is in a mess. That's for sure. It's not easy to get a test.
I want to read this. A Department of Health and Social Care spokesperson said, we know limiting visits in care homes has been very difficult for many families and residents who want to see their loved ones. The priority is to prevent infections. Local directors of public health are responsible for the policy on care home visits in their areas and should give a regular professional assessment of whether visiting is likely to be appropriate within the local authority, taking into account the wider risks.
Absolute waffle, guys. This is just waffle. And that's been said for months and months and months. We have people dying in care homes because they are, what is it called? Cardiomyopathy. They are dying of a broken heart, those people living with dementia. And it is appalling that people cannot hold the hand of their loved one that is potentially going to die very soon.
All right.
Thank you both. It's an incredibly powerful argument. And I'm sorry that we speak to you under these circumstances. And lots of love to your mums as well.
Absolutely.
And thank you for talking to us.
Thank you.
Thank you.